Welcome. My name is Penelope Chatterton. Welcome to Awaken the Dream. My friends, Dr. Kristine Suly is back to talk with us this week, and we're going to break down a little bit more some of the issues we discussed last week. And I'm kind of excited because I want to learn all about cholesterol. But anyway, she is a medical cardiologist. She had traditional training, and she broke out of the box, and she's exciting and a wonderful teacher. And for those of you, I hope you saw last week's show, and I hope you will look for it. And this week we're going to ask Kristine to continue. Welcome back.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I was the time flew so fast. It's like, this is very exciting news that you're sharing with us about living a full life and being active. That's where we left off. We got to move.
And, you know, I don't know how to emphasize that enough. You mentioned just a moment ago about cholesterol.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to see how people sort of think that cholesterol is the problem.
Aha.
Aha. And I'll bet you thought it was, didn't you?
It's a symptom then.
Well, no, it's not even that.
It's not even that.
Not even that. Let me talk a little bit about cholesterol.
All right.
And I actually brought you a picture here that I think really instructs very nicely. When I talk to people about their lipids, meaning cholesterol, triglyceride, they go, oh no, I know my numbers, and they go, my cholesterol is this, and my HDL is this, and my LDL is this, and I go, well, what do you know about lipoproteins? And they go, well, isn't that high density lipoprotein and low density lipoprotein? I said, yes. What do you think they are? And people will say, they're cholesterol.
Ah.
I go, well, no, actually not. Let's think about what they really are. So, cholesterol is not fat, it's wax.
Ah.
And it's only present in animal products, but it's wax.
Sticky.
Well, yeah. Wax. And triglycerides are fat. They're the final product, digestion of fats. So we call them lipids, but they're not fats. They're wax and fat. So if you think about, you eat something, has fat and cholesterol in it, and now you have to absorb it, and you're going to do something with it. Well, your triglycerides do not just dive for your fat cells. They actually get absorbed, and they go and make a cell membrane. Every single cell has a fatty acid membrane. So your fats go to make up your cell membrane. They are a good source of energy. Cholesterol actually is very much involved in cell repair. You use cholesterol to make your hormones and to make vitamin D, which incidentally is technically a hormone. It's not actually a vitamin, it's a hormone.
Really?
So you use cholesterol to make hormones, vitamin D to make bile, and to do cell repair.
So we need it.
Absolutely, can't live without it.
All right.
In fact, your liver makes 3,000 milligrams of cholesterol every single day.
Wow.
Because you need that much. So let's say you eat something that has fat and cholesterol in it. It gets down, it's absorbed from your GI tract, and it's going to have to go into your blood, which is water-based. Now you're going to put wax and fat into water. What do you think will happen? You'll have like Italian dressing. You'd have to keep jumping up and down to keep it in solution.
Or if you don't move.
Right. So obviously we can't just put wax and fat into a water-based system. So we have lipoproteins, and these are carriers. And they're carriers that are made up of lipid on the inside. And that's soluble with cholesterol and triglyceride. And the outside is protein, which is soluble in water. So now we can actually transport wax and fat in a water-based system. And so every time you eat anything with fat or cholesterol, your liver makes lipoproteins. They go down, they literally wrap around the cholesterol and triglyceride and transport it to wherever it has to go. Now,
how clever.
When they measure your total cholesterol, you think that's what you ate, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. You've been fasting for 10 or 12 hours when they draw your blood.
True.
Cholesterol and triglyceride have all been delivered to the cells.
Oh.
What's in the bloodstream are your lipoproteins, the little carriers.
Okay.
So remember that part of the carrier is lipid, and it's mostly cholesterol. And it's part of the carrier. It's not useful for anything else. I always think of it like a pickup truck. Pickup truck has rubber in the tires, leather in the seats, metal in the body of the truck. Now, I could put metal into the truck, drive it somewhere, unload the metal, but when I look at the truck, there's still metal as part of the truck.
Okay.
That's what cholesterol is.
Okay.
It's part of the lipoprotein. So when they measure total cholesterol, what they're telling you is how much cholesterol is in all your lipoproteins. Because that's pretty much all that's in your blood 10 or 12 hours after you've eaten, are the carriers.
Okay.
So your total cholesterol is actually all the cholesterol in your LDL, your HDL, and some others that you've never even heard of.
Okay.
All right?
All right. I'm listening.
So right off the bat, it's clear that what we're talking about in terms of total cholesterol and all relates to the lipoprotein carriers. Now, obviously, the more cholesterol and triglyceride you eat, the more carriers you're going to make.
Okay.
And so there is a correlation between what you ate, but you're not actually measuring what you ate. That's all been delivered. So now let's think about what's the issue with lipoproteins.
Okay.
Well, now this actually here, let me show you. This is a blood vessel, and this is the wall.
Okay.
And this is the blood. Now, I know the blood should have been pink, and the wall should have been yellow.
Right.
I know, I have to get my head around it every time. But try to get, okay. So this is the wall. This little gray, one-cell layer thick is endothelium. And that's the inner lining of your blood vessel. Now that one cell layer thick is very important. If it never gets damaged, nothing bad can happen to you. You can't form plaque.
Oh.
Because in order for plaque to form, the lipoproteins have to go through the endothelium into the very muscular wall.
Okay.
And if the endothelium stays intact, they can't get through. But the endothelium does get damaged. People smoke, they eat high-fat meals, they're under too much stress. There's a lot of reasons that the endothelium can get damaged.
Okay.
Now, when it gets damaged, the lipoproteins go in. So here we have LDLs. Okay. Now, what do you notice about the LDLs?
They're different sizes.
There you go. That's right. They're not all one thing. So
they're not all created equal.
No, they're really not all created. So we have big, fluffy orange ones.
Yeah.
We have little, small, dense red ones. We have the little red ones with squiggles. That's called lipoprotein little a, and that is an LDL, but it's a special kind. It's determined by heredity. Oh. You either inherit the gene for it or you don't. But they're all LDLs. Now, let's see if they're all equally bad, because remember, all you know is your total cholesterol, total LDL, total HDL.
Yep.
So we'll see, are they all bad? Well, the endothelium gets damaged, the LDLs go right through the endothelium into the wall. Which ones get in? Only one big fluffy. Lots of small dense ones. And lipoprotein little a gets in. Now, getting in isn't the end of the world, but it oxidizes. Now your body thinks this is a foreign invader, and it's going to attack it. So here comes a white blood cell. It migrates in, becomes what's called a macrophage. It's going to gobble up the oxidized LDL. It's going to make a foam cell, which makes plaque. So, if we want to see what LDLs are bad, let's say big fluffies. They don't really get in. They never oxidize. They never become part of a foam cell. They never make plaque. If your LDL was high, but they were all big fluffies, would you care? They're harmless.
Okay.
They're not going to hurt you.
Is this the good?
No, it's not. This is LDL, the quote bad. All LDL is not bad. The big fluffy ones are harmless.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, so we need, of course, to be concerned about anything that's in a foam cell. Now, this yellow here is not a big fluffy. This is a remnant lipoprotein. And there's two remnant lipoproteins that we should be aware of. One is called very low density lipoprotein 3, which you've never heard referred to, and intermediate density lipoprotein. Now, your LDLs carry cholesterol, and your remnant lipoproteins carry triglycerides. So now we have remnant lipoprotein, and the endothelium gets damaged, and in goes the remnant lipoprotein. It doesn't even have to oxidize. It gets gobbled up by a macrophage, becomes part of a foam cell, and makes plaque. So what you want to know is, what kind of LDLs do I have?
Yeah, okay.
And do I have too many of the things that are in a foam cell? Because it's foam cells that make plaque.
How do we find that out?
Ah, you have to order the test.
Okay.
Now, another thing you want to know is about your HDL. Not all HDL is protective. So you said you had a very high HDL.
Yeah.
Well, only HDL2B is protected. Those are big HDLs. And if you know your total HDL, but you don't know how much is HDL2B, you don't know if you're protected.
Uh-huh.
So this actually is called the lipoprotein particle profile, but what is more commonly referred to is the VAP test. And it's called the VAP test, which actually measures all these things directly.
Okay.
And also asking for a test that actually measures lipoprotein particles. And there's another, let me just put this up so I can kind of emphasize.
But I can see why I didn't go to medical school.
Oh, you would have loved it.
Would I?
No. All right.
I'm in awe.
Well, now here are 4 people.
Yeah.
Okay. They all have an LDL of 125. Okay, exactly the same number. Now Jerry here, he's got all big fluffies, but he doesn't have a lot, so we're going to represent him with 1.
Okay.
Susan, she's got all big fluffies, but twice as many. Okay. David's got small dense ones, but he's only got 2. We'll represent him with 2. And Maria, she's got all small dense ones and a lot of them. Now, their LDL is 125, every one of them. Jerry's at no risk. Susan, not much risk. David's at risk. Maria's at high risk. Their LDLs are all the same. You have to know what kind of particles and how many.
Okay.
So, if we actually look back, what you would want people to ask their physicians to order is a VAP test, V-A-P. And
Okay.
it actually stands for Vertical Auto Profile, which is how they run the test, and I don't know why they named it that. But, and also a lipoprotein particle assessment. And that would give you direct measurements of all the things you need to know. Now, why is this so important? And I'm sort of on a campaign to try to disillusion people about statin drugs.
Oh.
Okay?
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
Okay,
Well,
you've
for
heard
instance,
of statin.
what's a statin?
Crestor, Lipitor, Zocor, Mevacor, okay, the statin drugs.
Okay.
And you know, the whole thrust is to get pretty much everybody on statin drugs. And of course, the pharmaceutical industry would love that, but amazingly, the conventional cardiac literature keeps emphasizing putting people on statin drugs. Well, now let's take a look. I actually have this that shows all the things we talked about. So we have the VLDL, which was, remember that VLDL3 is a remnant?
Yep.
Okay. And then we have the other remnant lipoproteins and intermediate density lipoprotein. And then we have the small dense LDLs. And we have the big fluffy LDLs, the small dense LDLs. Here's lipoprotein little a. Here's your big fluffy HDLs, and here are your other HDLs. Okay, so lifestyle. You make lifestyle change, where does it have its biggest impact? Your HDL2B. So if your HDL2B were low, exercise.
Okay.
Exercise, exercise, exercise.
Okay.
Statins. Where do they have their biggest effect? They get rid of the big fluffies,
Oh,
which are harmless to you.
interesting.
Isn't it?
I'll say.
It does lower your cholesterol by getting rid of the harmless LDLs. So why does it work? I mean, that was your next question, right?
Yes, it was.
And so why do statins work? Statins are not good lipid drugs. They don't go after what's in a foam cell. They're good anti-inflammatory drugs.
Oh,
They put out the fire.
okay.
So remember I showed you how the plaque was forming? Okay, so if we have plaque, and now you've got this inflammatory mess because your body's trying to get rid of it, all right? And it's all inflammatory. Eventually that little thin endothelium is going to rupture and you're going to have a heart attack or stroke.
Yeah.
So let's say you have plaque and it's very inflamed and you don't want that plaque to rupture. Statin drugs put out the fire. They go, phew.
Okay.
Plaque stabilizes.
No heart attack.
Doesn't rupture, no heart attack. However, Is it wise to put people on an anti-inflammatory drug and leave them on for the rest of their lives? And the bottom line is no.
No.
Because, let me give you an example. Think of another anti-inflammatory drug that you know, prednisone.
Prednisone.
Okay, potent anti-inflammatory drug.
Yep.
If you came in and you're having an allergic reaction and you're all red and you're puffy and you're swollen and you're scratching and you have hives, I put you on prednisone,
Puts the fire
puts out the fire,
Yep.
all redness
Been
goes
there.
away. I do not leave you on prednisone for the rest of your life because you might have an inflammatory reaction or another allergic reaction.
Yeah.
Because if you stay on prednisone for the rest of your life, your bones are going to break down and you're going to have osteoporosis, you're going to get fat around your middle, you're going to lose muscle in your arms and legs, you're going to develop diabetes and hypertension, and you're going to be sick.
Yeah.
So we know not to put people on potent anti-inflammatory drugs and leave them on.
Yeah.
Yet the statin drug is an anti-inflammatory drug. Does it work? Yes, it works.
Yeah.
Is it dangerous? Yes, it's dangerous.
Okay.
Now remember, lowering cholesterol to the levels that have been recommended is scary,
Yeah.
because most of your cholesterol's in your brain. So what happens if you're lowering your cholesterol to absurd low levels? Your brain's not going to function.
Wow.
And we see dementia,
Ooh.
which becomes Alzheimer's if the statin drug isn't stopped.
Yeah.
And we see total global amnesia.
Yeah.
I had a patient who was on statin drugs. Her doctor put her on a statin drug and kept threatening her not to stop them, so she didn't. And I said I thought she should stop them. There were a lot better ways to get a handle on lipids. But she stayed on, and then she came to my office and she said, I had a real scare. And I said, well, what happened? She said, well, my boyfriend and I were in Boston, and we were going to drive back to the Cape. And so we did. And I got out of the car, and I said to my boyfriend, where are we?
Oh.
And he said, we're on the Cape. And she said, we're not in Boston?
Oh.
He goes, no, we were in Boston. We just drove to the Cape.
Yeah.
And she goes, did you drive and I just fell asleep? And he goes, no, you drove your car, I drove mine.
Oh dear.
She said, I have no recollection of driving from Boston.
Oh dear.
She had total global amnesia.
Oh dear.
And she said, did I drive okay? He said, well, if we weren't having this conversation, I probably wouldn't worry, but yeah, you were okay. He said, a little erratic, but nothing that I would have noticed.
Yeah.
She stopped the statin after that, and she had still 2 more episodes of total global amnesia, and then they stopped.
Yeah.
But I've also had people, I had a lawyer who was a very successful trial lawyer who was sharp as a tack, and his physician put him on a statin drug,
Yeah.
and his memory went
Yeah.
straight down.
Listen, I'm going to interrupt you
Yeah.
because our friends need to know where to find you, because I know you do lectures, and I know you are an educator.
Yes.
And I know that Jamie is pulling up your graphics for us.
Yeah.
But you are located in Yarmouthport.
In Yarmouthport Sunflower Marketplace,
Yeah.
right where the register is located.
And people could email you if they were
Can
interested.
email me. I have a website.
And on the website, do you have any schedule?
Yes, I give a free talk at the office every month, usually the last Thursday of the month. I do need reservations because I can only seat about 26 people.
Yeah.
People can call the office and reserve. They are free,
Yeah.
and they're about holistic management of chronic conditions.
Yeah.
So,
So we got to get moving. We have to eat right now. Here's a question.
Yep.
Is there a general pattern for good eating habits for good cholesterol? I mean, low fat, not a lot of meat?
no, don't emphasize fat so much.
Oh, okay. How about
we
meat?
moved away from fat.
about-
Meat is a bad idea.
All right. What's a bad idea? What are the bad ideas?
The closer you are to vegetarian, the better.
Okay.
And, something to think about. I have not eaten red meat since the 70s.
Oh.
Now, I grew up on a farm where my father did butcher
Yeah.
cow and a pig, and we ate beef and pork. Until I read about how slaughterhouses slaughter animals.
Oh, yeah.
And, if
You
people,
saved a cow.
if people don't want to think about where their food comes, they should.
Yeah.
The other thing, and I think you'll understand this, aside from the fact that saturated animal fat, especially pigs and cows that have been fed corn, is not good for us. But think about what happens to animals who are treated the way they are before they're slaughtered.
Yeah.
First of all, they're herded into a truck
Yeah.
There's no food or water. The truckers don't stop to feed or water them. They're scared, they're crowded, they're trampling on each other. They get to the feedlot, they're fattened up, and then they're shuttled down a chute where they're very upset, and they're going to be hit with a steel ball on the head and stunned and strung up by their back legs, and the jugulars are going to be split, and they're going to be bled to death. But suppose they're upset and they're tossing around and they don't get stunned. They're strung up alive.
Oh, dear.
And bleed to death.
Yeah.
Now, do you think this negative energy has any impact on the meat? Of course it does.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Aside from the fact that saturated fat isn't necessarily good for us, the negative energy that's involved in animals that are treated that way, I think it has a powerful impact.
Have you seen Food Inc.?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Powerful, powerful.
I recommend it
movie.
to
Absolutely.
everyone to.
Yep.
It's in the library.
Yep.
It's tough.
Tough. It
but
is.
we need to see it.
Yeah. And people need to understand where their food comes from.
Yeah.
I am not a believer in any deliberate form of cruelty, ever.
Yeah.
And I think animals do feel pain.
Of course.
And the idea of abusing an animal and thinking that nothing bad will come out of it is a mistake.
Yeah.
That, remember, we're just a bunch of atoms. We tend to think of ourselves as cells, but cells are made up of atoms.
Yeah.
We are energy beings.
Yeah.
Energy, you know,
Yeah.
the energy in the meat from animals that were treated that way is negative energy. Negative energy harms us.
What you were talking about in the first show about being medicated and the way we get stuck in this Western medicine, do you bring this up in your lectures? I mean, do you help people to understand?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because I really want our friends to understand.
And actually, another thing that I oftentimes emphasize is there are natural ways to do things. I mean, you may recall the graph we had. This one, where, you know, the idea of the lifestyle change moves you from this terrible, typical American lifeline up to a healthy one. And so the bottom line is there are natural ways. And I very much got interested in supplements and things back when in the 80s when I was really doing more lifestyle medicine. And that, you know, actually tying in with cholesterol also is the fact that niacin is an excellent lipid drug. Now, niacin is vitamin B3.
Yeah, I take it. I like it.
Well, and the only side effect really that's worrisome for most people is the flush.
I got non-flushing.
You know, if you look at niacin here, niacin's very good at lowering VLDL, but look what it does to the small dense LDLs. The only thing that rivals niacin is estrogen. One of the reasons women don't get heart disease as early as men is because they have estrogen. It keeps their small dense LDLs down.
Yeah.
Also, niacin is the only thing that really works for lipoprotein little a.
Yeah.
So niacin, although I must say the doses that you have to use, it's no longer just a vitamin. You need to consider it a drug.
Yeah.
You need to be careful with it. But nevertheless, here's a nice natural thing that we have many, many, many years of experience using.
What do you know
niacin.
about red yeast?
Red rice yeast is a group of naturally occurring statins.
Yeah.
They're still statins.
Yeah.
But they do naturally occur, and they're designed to be eaten. And the Asian cultures have eaten red rice yeast for thousands of years.
Okay.
Now, if you've ever had Peking duck, that red is red rice yeast.
No.
Very tasty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The red rice yeast is very tasty, and Asian cultures eat it.
So in our last couple of minutes, we need to work out. We need to eat organically if we can, lots of fresh food, lots of fresh vegetables, work out, exercise. How about supplements? You were just bringing that up. I mean,
I do recommend supplements, but remember, the human body is an amazing organism.
Yeah.
It knows how to take care of you.
Yes.
And I always say, if you cut yourself, what will it do? It will heal.
Yeah.
You can pay attention to it, it'll heal. You could ignore it, it'll heal. You could bandage it, it'll heal. You could not bandage
Isn't it amazing?
it'll heal. You could pick the scab off, it will still heal. It knows how, your body knows how to take care of you.
Yeah.
I don't like people to think that they're so hopelessly bad that they have to take something. Lifestyle change would turn around 80% of what ails us. 90%. 90% of what ails us.
Yeah.
And so the bottom line is, if we don't get around to lifestyle medicine, we're never going to be healthy.
Yeah.
Drugs and procedures aren't going to do it.
Yeah.
And we see here that this is a drug, statin drugs. It doesn't have the effect at all that you want.
Yeah.
And we don't have any safety track record. Whereas we have a lot of safety track record with lifestyle medicine.
Yeah. You're the only gal I know that is doing this. Are there many? Oh, in our last minute, there are not a lot of you out there.
No, there aren't.
So you've got a mission.
Well, I do. And you know, I do see changes very gradually happening in medicine. I see more lifestyle medicine coming, more lip service being given to it.
Yeah.
Certainly Harvard is making an effort to try to emphasize lifestyle changes. Unfortunately, in the next breath, they say, but don't forget to take your statin.
Oh, dear.
But it is true that we must change. Pendulum swing. We are beginning to swing back.
And you feel exercise is one of the most important.
Exercise is critically important. If you don't exercise, it is not going to work.
An hour a day?
An hour a day if you're normal weight, 90 minutes if you're overweight.
Okay. Ooh.
And don't say you don't have time.
Yeah, find it.
What have you got time for? Chronic disease?
Yeah. Well, you know, as you get older, there's a real mystery to getting better. I have to go. Dr. Suly, Dr. Kristine Suly, thank you for joining me. And I thank you, my friends, for joining us on the Awake in the Dream. We will talk to Kristine again soon.